Oh, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We are getting started right on time tonight, which is awesome. This dinner maybe takes like, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes more than some of the last few that we've done. So that will be perfect that we are getting started right at 6. So hopefully you are here signed up for the correct class tonight. We are doing a jerk chicken dinner. We're going to have quick marinated jerk chicken thighs served atop a kind of a wilted spicy mango coleslaw. And then we will serve that with coconut rice and red beans that comes together very quickly and is very flavorful and delicious. Hopefully you have followed along on your prep list this evening and have your vegetables and your mangoes cleaned and ready to go. Maybe you've drained your can of beans, opened up your can of coconut milk, ready to go. I have all these things over here to my right, all set, and hopefully you're following along with me and you're going to end up having a delicious dinner this evening. We are here at Willamette Valley Kitchen Company. My name is Amy Church. If I have not met you, I know we had lots of students tonight. Chicken dinners are always very popular when we do them. So lots and lots of students signed on. If you are a social media person, please do go ahead and like us on Facebook. If you have not already, we are at Willamette Valley Kitchen Co. Or on Instagram, my handle is at Salem Cooks. And I would love to see pictures of your creations after you cook with us this evening. So definitely, if you are on there, go ahead and snap a photo and post your picture and tag us. I would love to see those. If you're not on social media, you can always just email me a picture. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let's see. I don't have any tech things to say. Oh, yes, please just don't forget to stay muted throughout the class so that everyone can hear me very well. And also, if you have any questions, we have Jan Irene Miller here tonight helping out on chat, and she will be responding to your questions. What she'll do if she sees one pop up is read it out loud to me, and then I will answer it on the video. So that's how you can ask questions as we're going along. And we also have Scott Reichlin here tonight doing AV. He's our house AV nerd, and it's been a huge upgrade since last week when he joined us. So I really appreciate his help. So thank you, Scott. Let's see. I think that's about all. As usual, we are recording this and you will receive a link to the video most likely tomorrow, as long as I'm able to get it uploaded on there. You'll receive an email with the video if you want to remind yourself of something or watch it again or just watch it at a later date. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start out just right at the top of the recipe page with our quick marinated jerk chicken thighs. So in this bowl, I have my 8 boneless, skinless chicken thighs all ready to go here. And we are just going to make a delicious, flavorful spice rub, basically, based off all of the delicious ingredients that are typically in a jerk chicken or a jerk pork. Now, what I've done here with this recipe, traditional jerk barbecue is usually coated more in a really wet kind of paste type of marinade. And I have basically just taken all of the dry spice ingredients of that traditional marinade and separated them out. So that's what we're going to put on our chicken. And then the other flavors that are usually in the jerk marinade that make it wet are scallions and ginger and habanero peppers, maybe lime juice. Those ingredients are going to be in our mango salsa for our spicy mango slaw. So when you eat it all together, you get all the delicious flavors of jerk chicken. But doing it this way, where we just put the dry spice rub on the chicken, allows you to have more of a quick cook, and you don't have to, you can get your chicken brown quickly because the marinade is dry rather than really moist. So it allows you to brown your chicken on the stovetop. All right, so I'm just going to start adding all of the spice rub ingredients together. I am just using a little like mini grinder like this, but you could also use a coffee grinder or spice grinder if you have it at your house, or you could grind it by hand with a mortar and pestle. I am just going to measure, like, even things that are already ground, like the salt and pepper. I'm just going to put it all in here so that when I blend it to grind the allspice, it will just all kind of blend together. So I find that that works pretty nicely. So I'm putting in some kosher salt. And we're going to use some freshly ground black pepper. Now, hopefully you all were able to get some fresh allspice berries and a fresh nutmeg. I mentioned that in particular in my ingredients list, that those two, having them freshly ground, are really important to the excellent flavor of this dish. So hopefully you were able to find those. I am adding some brown sugar right now. You can use any brown sugar for this, but if you happen to have the dark Muscovado brown sugar that we sell here at the store, it makes this especially delicious. So that's what I'm using tonight. I know lots of our regular class students out there have that in their pantry. So if you have that, definitely use it. It's a very, very dark, rich, molassesy brown sugar that really gives a great flavor. So I'm adding in about 4 teaspoons of that. Okay. I'm going to skip the thyme leaves for a second, just because I have to take them off their stems. And I'm going to skip right over to the rest of the dry spices. We have allspice berries. Hopefully you were able to find these. They're very important for a jerk barbecue seasoning. Give a really unique, special flavor. If you had a hard time finding them, I find that they are easily found actually in the Mexican food aisle, and it doesn't always say allspice. It sometimes will say pimiento dulce, which means sweet pepper, interestingly. That is what that is called in Spanish. So hopefully you found that fine. I'm using this little nutmeg grinder to get some, what do we want here? About a half a teaspoon of freshly ground nutmeg. So yes, I'm grinding nutmeg into my spice grinder, but that's just because I want to blend this all together. That probably looks about like a half a teaspoon. So this combination of allspice, nutmeg, and cinnamon, these are things that are typically, maybe you would associate them with baking spices. And interestingly, I typically don't really enjoy these kind of baking spice flavors in savory foods in most dishes. However, in jerk chicken or jerk pork, I absolutely love it. So I'm not sure what the difference is, if it's just like the combination with the other flavors, but I love this combination with the allspice and the nutmeg and the cinnamon. I'm adding in now just a small amount of red chili flakes for just a little bit of heat. And again, that's an optional ingredient. If you don't like spice, you can leave that out. Okay, and then we have everything in here but our fresh thyme. So I'm just gonna, because I'm grinding this up, I'm not gonna be super picky about these leaves. Like if I get a little kind of a small stem like that is gonna just grind right up and I'm not gonna worry about it. So I'm just gonna kind of run my fingers. These thyme branches actually are working out really well. Sometimes you run your fingers along your fresh thyme and it's just like breaking all over the place and being really annoying, but this is some really good thyme I've got here. So I hope you have good thyme at your house as well and it's not bugging you. All right, so we do want a good amount of this fresh thyme here, calling for around 2 tablespoons of the little leaves, which is a lot. Thyme is one of the very important flavors in your jerk marinade. gives it kind of an earthiness. You can smell that when you are removing those leaves like I just did. All right, we have everything in our little grinder. So I'm going to turn this on. Sorry for the noise, it'll just be a second. Those allspice berries are pretty noisy when you grind them. All right, that looks nicely ground. It smells amazing. Like I said, I just love this blend. So I'm going to just sprinkle this entire mixture over my chicken. Like so. And
just one question, Amy.
Yeah.
She had audio issues and missed the first part, and she was wondering if allspice berries are the same as whole allspice.
Yes. So we had a question just to verify about allspice. I was calling it allspice berries, which you do see it sometimes. Whole allspice, you might see it labeled like that as well. And those are definitely the same thing. So no problem whether your jar or your bag says whole allspice or allspice berries, same difference.
One person said they did not peel the mango in advance because they didn't know how. They were hoping they would show us.
I am definitely going to demonstrate that. We're going to, oh, maybe you didn't hear that. Sorry. I always forget that you maybe can't hear my questions. Someone was asking about the mango and how to prepare it, and we will definitely fully demonstrate that. So don't worry if you have struggled with mangoes in the past. I'll show you some tips. Okay, our chicken is rubbed with our delicious jerk spice rub, and I'm just going to set this aside for a few minutes while we get our rice started. You don't need to put it in the fridge because we're going to be cooking it soon enough. I'll just set it over there.
And one person asked if you can get allspice berries at the regular grocery store.
Yes, so I definitely found allspice berries at Winco. If you were having trouble finding them, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, at Winco at least they have them in the Mexican food aisle in the little baggies. You know how they have like the little cellophane bags with the paper label on top, and they have allspice there, and it is labeled pimienta dulce, which means sweet pepper, because they kind of look like peppercorns, although they are not pepper.
One person asked if they bought some of the dark Minced Habanero brown sugar from the store here last year and loved it, and how long does it last?
Yes, if you have some of the dark muscovado sugar, it may get a little dry, but that would be the only issue, and it's still perfectly good to use. You can revive your brown sugar by putting a slice of apple in there and just sealing it shut for a while, and it will kind of moisten it back up. You also may have seen a brown sugar keeper like this little guy, this little teddy bear one. They make all different shapes, and it's made out of terracotta. You can take it and soak it in water and then keep it in your brown sugar, and that will keep it moist. Okay, we are going to move down to our rice here, our rice recipe for a moment, and go ahead and get that started. And then we can cook our chicken and make our mango salsa while the rice is cooking. So let's see. Do I want to start my oil yet? Probably do, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the saucepan for the rice and just get it heating up over medium and get the oil in the pan after the pot is heated up a little bit. And then while that pan is heating up, I have an onion here, and I'm only going to use half of it. So just save your other half for something else at your house. But I'm just going to go ahead and cut that in half and remove the peel. Let's see, I think I need to take one more layer off of here. Yes, there we go. I'm using a white onion tonight because I've found that the white onions in the past few weeks are looking better at the store, but white or yellow onion, perfectly fine. And I'm going to go ahead and dice this fairly small.
This There's one question about how much oil do they put in the rice pan?
Yeah, so if you're following along with your recipe, we're going to put a tablespoon of vegetable oil in the rice pan once the pan is hot. So I haven't added it in there yet, but I will be adding it in soon. I am just chopping my onion. This is one of those onions where the outside layer is kind of like soft, if you know what I mean, like it's kind of annoying, but I am doing my best. Luckily, my knife is very sharp. Yeah, I don't like that little piece. There we go. So I'm just dicing up the onion, about a 1/4 inch dice, I would say. Get those little bits around the core. All right, there is our half a diced onion. And I'm gonna go ahead and use some vegetable oil. I'm using grapeseed oil tonight and add about a tablespoon to this pan because it should be hot at this point. There we go. Give that a little swirl. And I can smell that that pan is definitely hot. In fact, I'm going to turn it down just a hint. You can add in your onion if your oil smells like it's heated up, which mine does. There's our good sizzle. And I'm also just going to add in at this point just a little pinch of salt along with the onion. That seems to kind of encourage it to cook down a little bit faster. You can go ahead and give your onion a little stir just to get it coated with that oil. And I'm going to let that cook on medium for a few minutes. Meanwhile, while it's cooking, we can go ahead and prepare the remaining ingredients for our rice. So I have 4 cloves of garlic. These are really massive cloves of garlic today. Like, I like garlic, so I'm going to put them all in, but really, probably this amount without this final clove would be more like an actual 4 cloves of garlic. And I just got this garlic at the store this morning, but I actually see that it has the little bit of green shoots in it, which is always kind of annoying. Oh, maybe they're not so bad. I'm slicing them in half. There is a little bit of a sprout in there, if you know what I'm talking about. And those can tend to be a little bit bitter. So if you see those, you can either just throw those pieces of garlic away because garlic is really inexpensive, or you can, if you want to use your garlic and be, frugal and use everything, which is always good, you can cut the cloves in half and just pull out the little sprouts like I'm doing. And that should help a little bit with any bitterness issues you might encounter. Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this other giant clove in here. What the heck? All right. So the next 2 ingredients that are going to go in are this garlic along with our white rice. And I'm just using plain old long grain white rice for this. You want 2 cups of rice. You don't need to rinse it in advance. That is not necessary for this particular recipe. So there is my rice and my 1 cup measure all ready to go. And I'm going to take a look at these onions. They're coming along, but they need maybe a minute or 2 longer. You want your onions to look softened and maybe just starting to get a hint of golden brown. And that is when you want to add these next 2 ingredients. I do have my garlic press ready to go here for my garlic. You can mince it by hand or use a press or other gadget. Other ingredients to prepare that are going to go in shortly. I have a measuring cup with 3 cups of water, and I'm going to add to it about 2 teaspoons of chicken bouillon. That's just what I generally have at my house in terms of boxed or canned chicken broth. I get this Better Than Bouillon brand paste instead, so it's really concentrated, and I like that it's in a glass jar because we can actually recycle it here, and I think it tastes really good, actually. So I put in 2 teaspoons, so that is not full strength. It's kind of like 2/3 strength, I guess, so not quite as salty as full strength. If you prefer to just use chicken broth at your house, or if you have homemade chicken broth, you can definitely do that as well, and you're just going to want 3 cups. That is all set. And then we have a can of coconut milk. I am using the Trader Joe's coconut milk that I mentioned in the shopping list that I really, really like. You can see when you open it up, it's really, really rich and creamy. I like it a lot. It has kind of a layer of the coconut fat on the top, and then the remainder of it is really, really nice and thick. And it does not have anything in it except the ingredient coconut milk, which I really appreciate. So that's great. That's all ready to go. We also have just a can of small red beans. You could also use black-eyed peas or black beans, or any kind of smallish beans that you like would be great in this. And then let me take a look at our onion here. Oh yeah. Okay. This onion looks perfect. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. It just has a tinge of golden brown. So I'm going to go ahead and add in our next 2 ingredients here. That is our 2 cups of rice. I always try to get exactly 2 cups of rice when I'm at the bulk section, and I always go overboard. I should take a cup with me. That would be really smart. And then all this garlic. Let's press that into there really quickly. Once I get this all in, what you want to do is just give that a quick stir and saute it for maybe a minute, just until the rice kind of gets coated with the residual oil in the pan that you cooked the onions in, and it gives the garlic a little chance to get lightly cooked. That was a massive amount of garlic. This is going to be garlicky roast tonight. So just give that a quick stir for about a minute, like so. Got a little garlic here on my stove. There we go. Okay, while that is cooking, let's discuss our other last remaining ingredients. We have 2 more sprigs of thyme, and these you don't need to take the leaves off. We're just going to throw them in there just like that. We have 2 bay leaves. Those are ready to go. And then those same allspice, whole allspice that you used in your spice rub, I'm going to pick 6 of them out here. I tend to choose big ones because I want to be able to find them easily when the rice is done. So choose 6 nice big allspice berries, and those are ready to go. We don't want to break those apart, just leave them whole. And then if you are using a habanero, the way that we're adding this in, it does not really make the rice super spicy at all, because we're not going to chop up the habanero. We're just going to put it in there with 1 slit in it just to add some flavor. Okay, I'm ready to add my liquid into this rice here. So I am adding in my water mixed with bouillon. Have a little swirl. There we go. All right, so that has kind of like stopped the cooking at this point. And now we don't have as much of a rush to add in the other ingredients. But we're basically going to add in the remaining ingredients at this point.
One question, Amy.
Yeah.
Is, would it be a problem to wrap the allspice, bay leaves, etc. into a cheesecloth?
It would not be a problem. However, they absolutely 100% float to the top. We're talking about the bay leaves and the allspice here. So they're pretty darn easy to find at the end, as long as you don't accidentally stir them in. When you open the lid, they will all be sitting right there on the top. I'm going to just take my habanero and just cut into it like that, like it's a little Pac-Man. If you want your rice to have absolutely no spice at all, maybe don't even do that much, but I like it just like that. And I'm going to take my chunk of ginger here and just kind of roughly peel it. It doesn't need to be perfectly peeled because we're just putting the whole chunk in like so. I just peel it mostly to give some surface area for the flavor to come out. Okay, so we put in our chicken broth mixture. We're going to put in this coconut milk. So you'll notice I said on this recipe, I warned you, this makes an absolutely massive pot of rice. But because we're putting in the cans of coconut milk and red beans, it's kind of hard to make. I mean, you could make a half batch, but it would be annoying because you'd have half cans left over. This rice is super delicious though, and it is great for leftovers. So I say just make a big old pot of it and people will enjoy it for a few days. Thyme, bay leaves, your 6 allspice berries, your habanero, split open or not, and your peeled chunk of ginger. Okay, so you can give this a little gentle stir at this point. And then just turn it. You can turn it up a little bit if you want, because you just want it to come to a boil as quickly as possible. So we will keep an eye on that rice, and as soon as it comes to a boil, I'm going to turn it down and put the lid on it and cook it for about 20 minutes. Yeah, good. We're doing great on time. Let's get started with our mango salsa, and then maybe in about 10 minutes, we'll start the chicken once our salsa is mostly done. So we're making a simple kind of Caribbean style mango salsa, and it's going to be the dressing of the coleslaw that we're making basically. So that's what's going on here. It's kind of like a dual purpose recipe. I have 2 mangoes. These were the type of mangoes that they had at the store today. I actually prefer the smaller ones with the golden orange skin, but sometimes you can't find them. So these ones we have today. If you ever find the other ones, they're so delicious and yummy. So I don't know. I prefer them when I can get them. Okay, I am going to demonstrate how I like to prepare a mango. And I know mangoes can be kind of tricky, so watch this part closely. This mango is not super ripe, but I think it's ripe enough. Basically, I'm going to, before I peel it, I'm going to just take my knife. I'm holding it up on its end, and I'm going to put the knife kind of right down in the center and then start to angle it slightly to one side. And I'm trying to feel for where the pit is. You can kind of see the pit right there. I went right next to the pit. So here is my lobe of mango. And I'm going to turn it around and do the exact same thing. The pit in there is usually about 1 centimeter to 1.5 centimeters thick. So you can use that as a guide for where to put your knife on the other side. Oh, I cut down into it there. See, I'll go a little bit to the right. There we go. Okay. So there's my 2 pieces of mango. This part, there's not going to be a huge amount of fruit on this, so I always just say, save this. You can cut around it to get the peel off, like so, and then you can just kind of munch on it as a snack. Grab a plate for that.
How can you tell when a mango is ripe?
Yeah, so it depends on the type of mango that you can tell when it is ripe. Yeah. So someone asked, how can you tell when a mango is ripe? Depends on the type of mango. These types, you just want them to feel gently soft, like not super, super soft. They shouldn't be wrinkled up. The golden type, the ones that I prefer, should actually be starting to wrinkle when you want them to be ripe. So it depends which type it is. And like I said, if you're kind of watching along at home, this mango was the ripest one I could get from the store today, and it is a little bit on the not so ripe side. So I'm hoping my normal peeling technique will work for it. And that's what we're going to do next. So my peeling technique for mangoes, if you haven't seen this on the internet, it's a great trick, and you just use a water glass. Try to find a water glass that is thinner on the edge rather than thicker. You're just going to hold the mango in the palm of your hand and just kind of insert the edge of the glass right next to the skin, like so. This is the only thing I was a little worried about, is if this mango isn't ripe enough to do this, but it's actually working pretty well, although I might have to flip it over. But basically, yeah, there we go. By doing this, you can usually get the peel off pretty nicely in one piece. So there is my peel. I hardly lost any of the mango. And there is my chunk of peeled mango ready to go. Excuse me, I'm going to repeat that with these other two. I don't normally have to flip this over like this, but again, just because these mangoes are a little firmer than normal, it's just not quite going as perfectly as usual. There we go. This one. This one is not as ripe as this one. We'll give it a try and see if it works. Hopefully at home you have nice ripe mangoes. I wish you all ripe mangoes. Yeah, so this one is a little bit more of a struggle, but it is still working. This glass technique works really, really well. It's so much easier than trying to peel a mango with your knife. Oh yeah, that worked. We do carry a peeler here at the store, and it's the only peeler I've ever found that really works well to actually peel a mango. And that is the one that is made out of ceramic, like our ceramic knives. It is so uber sharp that you can actually peel a mango with it. But I still prefer my little glass technique here. Okay, this last one is the only one that I kind of had a little bit of a failure. If that happens to you, just take your knife and trim off that excess. All right. Mango is peeled. Here is how I dice it. So I'm going to slice it the long way into as small of pieces as I like, which for me is pretty small. I like about 1/4 inch dice here. And then I'm just going to smush them over. Hopefully you can see that. So they're kind of shingled out, but they are definitely still overlapping. And I'm going to, again, just kind of slice through. It's not going to be absolutely perfect slices since they are overlapping, but it will be perfect for what we want here. I'm keeping an eye over here on the stove on my rice, and I think it is just about ready to boil. Oh yeah. Okay, I don't want to stir it too much at this point. I just wanted to make sure it was boiling there. So hopefully you can see all those things floating at the top that we added in. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 allspice berries all right there. So I don't want to disturb them. They're going to be there when I open up the pan later on, which is great. But this is at a simmer. So I'm going to turn it way down low and put a lid on it and set my timer for 20 minutes. And that will be our rice, looking delicious here right at the end of class. Okay, So I sliced that mango into approximately 1/4-inch sticks. I've turned it 90 degrees, and now I'm going to chop through it, and you'll end up with some nice diced mango. Sometimes your little twigs of mango try to kind of fly away, especially if it's a big mango. But just do your best here, like so. Got a few pieces that kind of stuck to my knife. There we go. Okay, so there's 1/2 of a diced mango. I am going to quickly repeat that process. If you're following along at home, just do your very best. I'm dicing this up pretty small. I have a lot of experience cutting up mangoes. I would say they are probably one of the hardest fruits to learn how to prep nicely. But again, just do your best. Even if your little cubes of mango are not perfect, it's still going to taste absolutely delicious.
So one person said they were thinking maybe pineapple could work if they can't find a good mango.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone mentioned that pineapple might be just equally nice in this, and I think that is absolutely true. I love the combination of mango and habanero, but I think pineapple is also great, a great flavor combination there. So it's easier to find a nice pineapple probably than a nice mango at certain times of year. I'm going to eat a little bite of this one and just make sure it's not totally gross. It's a little crunchy, but I think it's going to be good. I might end up putting, like, the recipe calls for 1/2 teaspoon of brown sugar, and I might put a full teaspoon to counteract our crunchy mango. Because this one is not quite as ripe, it's sticking to my knife a little more. Maybe you can see that at home. But same technique. Sheesh. So, exciting times in my life personally. Last weekend, we moved into a house that we just recently purchased. So that was very exciting. My first house. And please don't come over anytime soon because everything's still in boxes. But hopefully we'll be getting all unpacked and it will be looking like home here very shortly.
One person asked if we could use papaya.
So we had a question whether you could use papaya. I would say it just depends on your taste. But to my taste, papaya would not taste as good as mango or pineapple with these other ingredients. There's just, I like papaya, but it just doesn't seem to go quite as well with these other things. We're going to put ginger and green onions in here, and I just think it might be a little odd. But if you love papaya, I think you should give it a try. Okay, finally, we are just about done dicing up our mango. This is the hardest thing you're going to do in the entire class. If you've managed to dice your mango, you are 95% of the way there. All right. I'm going to transfer my mango to this bowl. And I think we will start cooking our chicken now. And then as it's cooking, we can finish the rest of this salsa. The rest of it is very easy. As I said, the mango is the hardest part. Let me wash my hands.
Everybody's excited about your new house.
Oh, yeah. So my new house is in Highland, just north of downtown. So it's super quick commute to the store. It's a house that was built in 1938, I think. 1938. That sounds right to me. So it's really cute, and it has wood floors, and it's just lovely. So I'm very excited. Thank you all for your well wishes. Okay, I am going to use the Wok Burner here. If you are a in-person class student, you'll know about our super powerful Wok Burner, and I'm just using it because this burner over here is not working well right now. But this burner is super powerful, so I'm actually going to have it way, way down low for cooking this chicken. But normally you would want to heat your pan up and have it at maybe medium high to heat up. Yeah. Let's get this started here. There we go. Woo. It's a powerful burner. I can feel the heat coming off it. Oh, you stinker. If you have gas burners at home, these particular ones sometimes take a while to heat up, and I have to like stand here and hold the gas on so that it will stay on. There we go. Now it's warmed up and it's staying on. All right. Wok burner on. And our pan is heating up for our chicken. You can give your chicken one more little toss if you want. You may notice that it has become just like a teensy bit saucy. Shouldn't be very much, but maybe a little bit, and that's just the brown sugar in the mixture kind of combines with the raw chicken and makes like a little bit of a juice. Okay. We'll let that pan heat up for a brief moment, and I will add in our oil. So I'm using same oil. I'm using grapeseed oil, and for this, I'm going to put in around 2 tablespoons, so I'm not being light on the oil, but I just want to make sure that my chicken doesn't stick or scorch, and I want to make sure there's enough oil in there that it will brown really nicely and not have any issues. So let's...
Amy, one person used Trader Joe's frozen mangoes and wondered if you had any advice on that.
Oh, so someone is asking about frozen mango, and I have never used that product, so I have no idea. Is it in chunks? I'm guessing it's probably in chunks. So it probably is hard to chop up into small dice, honestly. But I would just say do your best. You could consider putting it very tentatively in a food processor, but just pulse very tentatively because you don't want to end up with mango puree. So I'm using my biggest skillet here so that I can fit in all 8 pieces of chicken thigh. They're probably going to overlap a little bit at the beginning, which is not optimal, but they're definitely going to shrink as they cook, and then it will just be fine. I just don't want to, I feel like it's kind of a pain to have 2 chicken pans going to make this recipe. So just use your very biggest skillet and do your best to fit them all in there.
So the person that used the frozen mango said that they thawed it and yes, it was in chunks, and then they diced it.
Okay, and they diced it okay?
I'll dice it.
Yeah, I've never used that product with the frozen mango, so sounds like the person had success, which is excellent. Okay, I'm adding in my chicken here, and as I mentioned, it's just going to be crammed in here, so I'm putting it right next to each other for now. Just get it in there as best as you can. I can start to smell those spices on it like immediately though. It smells really, really good. Hopefully you are experiencing that as well. So it depends on the size of your chicken thighs. They can vary kind of widely, but I usually find this takes like 6 to 8 minutes per side. I do have a timer set for 6 minutes here just so I don't forget what's going on, so I'm going to set that for 6 minutes. And just regulate your temperature. You want it to stay at a good strong sizzle. We're going for a nice dark golden brown caramelization on this chicken, and the sugar in the recipe will definitely help you to get a good caramelization. Okay, so we've got our rice cooking. I'm actually looking at my rice here and it's really kind of cooking strongly, so I'm going to even turn it down a little bit. I can see it through the glass lid. There we go. Hopefully that won't turn off. I don't think it will. Chicken going, rice going. Let's finish up our salsa. Let's see, where are we? We are on scallions. So I have 2 scallions. I already cleaned them, cut off the bottoms, and got them all ready to go. So I'm just going to thinly slice these.
If you have a couple of chicken thighs that are not deboned, how much longer do they cook?
So if you have bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs, we had a question about how much longer that would be, and it would be significantly longer. So I would say they might take a half hour total, maybe even a little longer. It kind of depends how big they are. When I use bone-in chicken thighs, I like to test them with a thermometer so that I can know for sure that they are done in the middle. I also would strongly consider, in that case, having your oven on to maybe 375 and browning them on one side and then flipping them over and transferring the pan to the oven, because that will make it a little easier to get them fully cooked all the way through. All right, there's our scallion. We had ginger in our rice, and we're going to use a little bit more ginger here in our salsa, and it's just going to be grated right into the salsa. So I'm using a teaspoon to peel it. Like so. And then I'm going to grate this. Where's my sharp side? There's the sharp side. You want around 2 teaspoons of grated ginger, although you can definitely adjust that to your own tastes. Whoa, ginger flying everywhere. Okay, so this is an optional ingredient here. I like this salsa to be really spicy, and I enjoy spice, and I love the flavor of habaneros. This is a massive habanero, by the way. I probably shouldn't put all of this in. Usually they're only like that big, and then I would put the whole thing in. So if you have a habanero, think about how much spice level you enjoy, and there's lots of different things you can do. You can put in just a little bit, you can take the seeds out or leave them in. You can leave it out altogether and put in a less spicy pepper. It's all up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and use some of this. I'm probably going to use like 2/3 of it.
So one person says they couldn't find any habanero. Is jalapeno about the same?
So we had a question about habaneros versus jalapenos. And whether they were similar. They are very, very dissimilar. However, a jalapeno will work perfectly well in here. So the flavor is different. Habaneros have a fruity flavor versus jalapenos have like a green, grassy flavor. And habaneros are much, much, much hotter than jalapenos. So like I said, you can use any kind of chili you want in here, but they are not similar.
So another question is, can you leave the piece of grain for others to pick out?
We had a question of whether you can, so many questions tonight, you guys, oh my goodness. We had a question of whether you can leave the habanero pieces large. I think that's a funny trick to play on people. I would suggest just putting in less. I never suggest putting large pieces of habanero in to anything because someone is going to not fish one out and then it will be a giant chunk of spice in their mouth. So I would say maybe not the greatest idea. I'm mincing my habanero now and I am really cutting it up finely. I'm going to start by slicing it as thin as I possibly can. You'll notice I'm not wearing gloves, and that's not necessarily recommended for you at home. I never wear gloves when I cut up chilies because it doesn't seem to hurt my fingers, but I do have to be really careful that I don't rub my eyes afterwards. So, ooh, and I can smell this one. This one's going to be spicy. Holy moly. Our chicken timer just went off. I'm going to grab a fresh pair of tongs and flip this chicken over. Oh, yeah. Oh. Okay, I need to turn that down. You guys, I might have slightly charred my chicken. I hope your chicken does not look like this at home. These ones look good. I don't even know if you guys can hear me, that's so loud. So I'm just taking it off the burner for a second. Perhaps you could see that the chicken was rather dark. That's because I've never cooked it on this wok burner before. And as I mentioned, it's a very strong burner. So we're gonna have extra charcoaly chicken at my house tonight. See, even Amy burns things sometimes. Hopefully at your house you don't have a giant wok burner and your chicken looks beautiful at this point. I'm sure it probably does. Yeah, it's just, there's nothing you can really do but just laugh at this point. I'm sure it's still gonna taste great. I have turned my burner down and I am going to cook it on the second side for, well, maybe 4 minutes in my case, but you'll want to cook it for about 6 more minutes. All right, back to our habanero. Again, I am just really concentrating on getting this habanero super, super small.
Yeah, but it's beautiful.
We're hearing some very friendly comments about my extremely caramelized chicken, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You guys are very kind. All right, so this is how much minced habanero I ended up with, using about 2/3 of that one. You can see it's very small, and I am going to put it all in here because everyone at my house likes spicy food. But you could also, I was just thinking about the person who mentioned leaving it in larger pieces. You know what I think would be a better option for you? It would just be to put it in a little separate bowl on the side, and then people who want some can sprinkle a little spoonful onto their own dish. All right, we want some lime juice. The burner went out. I'm going to move this over, but I don't know if it'll be in the camera. It's because this burner is kind of annoying. Okay. Just making sure my burners are all on properly. All right, so I like a good amount of lime juice in this. I have 2 limes here, and I'm just going to squeeze them. The acid in this just is a really nice contrast to the mango. And it also kind of lightly pickles your habanero. I think, which is tasty. I hear my timer going off for the rice. So what you want to do with your rice at this point is you want to just take a little peek at it. Try to like, you're trying to kind of leave the steam in there as much as you can, but you just want to grab a little spoon and just make sure that the rice grains are actually cooked at this point. So don't stir it all up because you're going to disturb all the things that have floated to the top, but just open it up and take a little peek and take a tiny little nibble of rice. Just like that. My rice is definitely cooked and it tastes delicious. So if your rice is cooked, you can just go ahead and turn that burner off. Leave the lid on though, and just let it sit there for 5 to 10 more minutes. And it just kind of steams and evaporates a little more of whatever residual liquid is in there and just lets your rice turn out really nicely. I'm giving my chicken a little poke over here because I think it's probably done. This side is definitely done. So I'm gonna turn my chicken off and just set it there to hang out. Okay, just need to season our salsa. So I like to put in a little bit of that same brown sugar. And as I mentioned, your recipe calls for a half a teaspoon of brown sugar, and that normally seems about just right for me, especially if I have nice mangoes, but I'm gonna put in a little extra tonight because that one mango was so kind of green and crunchy. So hopefully that will balance that out a little bit. So I put in a teaspoon. And then we want, this will be to your taste, but I generally put in around a 1/4 teaspoon of salt into this salsa. And I like just a few dashes of soy. There is our salsa. All right. Let's go ahead and get our slaw. Now you'll notice I had simply made this really easy for everyone and recommended that you can just get a bag of coleslaw mix if you want. Or you are certainly welcome to chop up your own cabbage and maybe grate a little bit of carrot if you like to do that. So I feel like for most people, 1 bag of coleslaw would be fine here. But as I've mentioned in the past, at my house, we have lots of really enthusiastic vegetable eaters. So I am actually using twice as much coleslaw to make sure everyone gets a lot of it. But 1 bag is most likely fine for your average person. Okay. We want a little bit of cilantro in here if you are a cilantro person.
Laura says they had fresh carrots and cabbage from the garden.
Nice.
So she's so psyched.
We had a student all the way from Iowa, right? Iowa? All the way from Iowa who had some fresh carrots and coleslaw homegrown from her garden. So she is using those tonight, and that sounds awesome. Okay, just added in a little cilantro. I'm going to go ahead and put that hot chicken right on top of this coleslaw. So the heat from the chicken will just kind of lightly wilt your coleslaw, is the theory. Like, I have never burnt something so much in class. This is really funny. This is great. And if you have some juices or it may be a little bit of fattiness in here, I'll leave it up to you. I like to spoon a little bit of this, maybe not. There's a bunch in this pan, so maybe not all of it, but I like to spoon a little bit of the chicken juices over the coleslaw also to kind of help it wilt. It's pretty yummy. Chicken fat is delicious. It's one of the best tasting fats, I think. Okay, so hopefully at home your chicken doesn't look quite this brown. Although I will say that jerk chicken is meant to be like nice and dark. So it's normally cooked on a grill when it's in a traditional type of cooking manner. And you do want it to get nice and dark and have some noticeable char. Maybe not quite this much char, but these ones actually are looking perfect to me. So I'll eat this one and let my guests eat these other ones. Anyway, here is our platter with our, in the process of wilting, coleslaw here and our hot chicken on top of it. And then to serve this, what you want to do is just kind of, I should actually taste this sauce first. Let me get a little spoon. Go ahead and grab a little spoon and taste your salsa, just to make sure you have the right balance of lime and sugar and salt on there. That habanero is hot tonight. It's a hot one. I could smell it. I knew it was going to be hot. So what I like to do is just maybe put a spoonful of salsa onto each piece for serving, like so. Not a huge amount, but just a little bit. And then you should have a nice amount left over in the bowl, and you can pass this around and people can add as much as they like to their own plates. So here's kind of our chicken platter with our remaining salsa. And let's take a look at our rice now. It has been resting. So again, when you open up this lid, don't immediately go and stir it all up. Because what you want to do is find all of the little inedible tidbits that are floated to the top and just grab them out. So what I like to do first is find the allspices, and I can easily see them. All 6 of them are right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get rid of those. And then you can grab your thyme leaves, your thyme branches, your 2 bay leaves. Get those guys out of there. Your chunk of ginger you should find somewhere there. And your habanero. There it is. Now you can go ahead and fluff up your rice and give it a little nice stir. Oh man, it looks really, really good. I love this rice. It's nice and rich from that coconut milk. And it is a great contrast to the spiciness of your mango salsa with the habanero. Okay.
So comments. Fantastic. Thanks so much. They're going to have a great time. Looks delicious. Wants to know if there are more classes before Christmas.
Okay, so we're getting some
Big
great
marshmallows.
Is that Jessie? Oh my God. We're getting some great comments. So I hope you all are having good aromas and good flavors coming out of your kitchen. We had a question about classes before Christmas. So here's what I will say. I'm not quite sure, because here at the store right now, we have a lot less staff than we normally have in the past during the holidays. So I need to keep that in mind. And I apologize, because I would love to just keep doing tons and tons of classes for you guys for the next 2 months, but I'm not entirely sure if I will be able to. But we will definitely have classes again after Christmas. And I would keep an eye out. Hopefully you're signed up for the emails for classes, because I would love to do maybe 1 or 2. And I'm really hoping to be able to do a couple. Maybe like a appetizer cocktail hour. I know lots of you come to the appetizer class every holiday season, and I can't do the full length, like 4 appetizers, just because it won't really work for this format. But I was thinking maybe we could do 1 appetizer and just kind of have a little get together. I don't know. That was kind of what I was thinking. And then I'm also, no promises, but I'm considering doing a pie class online, although I'm not sure if that would be strange. So I have to work out how that would work in my head. But yes, maybe. Yes, maybe more classes before Christmas. Definitely more classes after Christmas. Scott, are you still?
Yeah.
Okay. And we may also have a class from Scott Reichlin for some foods of Hanukkah. So definitely keep an eye out for that as well. We will advertise it and get it scheduled.
So one question is there a way to buy past courses, because I forgot to sign up in
Oh,
time?
Yeah. We have a quick question here about past courses. If you go to our cooking school tab on our website, all of the virtual classes are listed there underneath the current one, which there aren't any current ones anymore. So they're all listed there. And you can definitely purchase a past course. It's still $10 and you get the recipe, the grocery list, the prep list, and I send you the link of our video. So if you would like to do that, just give the store a call when we are open 10 to 5:30, Tuesday through Saturday right now. And whoever answers the phone will be happy to help you out, take payment, and then I will send you an email with the class information. You can watch it at your leisure. Any other questions?
Comments, and one person would love to see an appetizers.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, I thank you so much for joining us all fall for this fun group of virtual classes that we have had. I hope you have had a great time at one or more of them that you have attended. I hope that tonight your meal is looking and tasting absolutely delicious and you are enjoying it, or perhaps you're going to cook it again sometime in the future. And good luck. Don't burn your chicken. Yeah, I think that's about all. Again, don't forget to snap a photo of your food and tag us on social media. And if you saw anything that I used tonight that caught your eye, we are open. Like I said, we're open right now, Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5:30. We are happy to help you out. Let's see, any more announcements? We have our garage sale. We actually are doing our garage sale this year. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to, but we are. And it is not this Saturday, not in 2 days, but it's next Saturday, November 7th. We're open at 10 a.m. like normal. So stop by for our garage sale and we would love to see you there. Do we have any other questions in the chat?
Nope, just lots of thanks. And
okay. Well, I wish you all a lovely evening tonight. Thank you for joining us at our virtual class and happy cooking. Thank you for coming.